Hello guys, in today's class we want to look into creating React application. Okay, so to create a React application now, you don't need to be doing Create React app anymore. We need to work with React using a React framework. And there are some popular React frameworks out there, but the most popular among them being Next.js. So I'm going to navigate to the documentation of Next.js, so I can simply go to Google and Google search Next.js. Okay, so from there I navigate to the website, which is Next.js. So a React framework for the web used by some of the world's largest companies. Next enables you to create a full stack web application by extending the latest features and integrating powerful Rust-based JavaScript tooling in the fastest build. So now Next.js is actually a full stack application. Okay. When you say full stack, it means it has a front-end part and back-end part. It's not like React, that normal React is just basically front-end, but Next has a server side and it has a client side. Okay. So by default, anything you are doing on Next.js, it sees it as a server application, unless you want to have do something like hooks or use on-click events and stuff like that. Okay, event handling, things like on-click on change. So I need to switch to client side. So otherwise, everything you're building is actually on the server side. So that means a lot of things are made easy with Next.js. Okay, with Next.js, you don't necessarily need some complexities that React comes with. Okay, so things like routing, you don't need to install browser router, and doing both static routing and dynamic routing makes it much easier with it. So let's look at what are the things that makes Next.js to stand out. Building optimization, yes, Next.js is actually good for creating things like SEO, search engine optimization. So your image optimization is very, very good with Next.js. It has what we call an image component, which we use to optimize or create user-friendly images. Okay, and then it also works with fonts too. Let me get down to it. Okay, so like Google Fonts, all the fonts you have in Google, like if I navigate to fonts.google.com, all the fonts, most of the fonts that you have here, you have access to all these fonts in Google. You can easily import any fonts that you want with Next.js. So it makes it quite awesome working with Next.js, especially fonts, image optimization, and script optimization too. Okay. Now, dynamic HTML streaming, yes, okay. So working with HTML is basically easy, like because you can actually write with JSX, and whether you're using JavaScript or using TypeScript, you can easily write your HTML code and all that. Okay. React Server Components, yes, if you navigate to React Server Components, and a lot of server components that React comes with, Next.js makes it easy that you can actually do all those things without needing to importing some things. Okay, so server components, like it has something called use clients. Okay, anytime I need to do things like hooks, okay, I can simply easily switch to it by making use of my client component, because it's already a server-side application. So fetching data is also another very awesome thing with React, with Next.js. With Next.js, Fetch API works awesome. Okay, you know, with React, sometimes if you need to fetch data, you need to install something called Axios. All right. So, but with Next.js, your fetching data is much easier than you think. You can easily fetch data from an API, and you can easily render those data that you fetch on your browser. Okay, both dynamic and static routing, it is very, very easy to do that. And I can also do what is called data caching. Okay, or revalidation of data. So we will see all these things in the next episode, but this one is more of trying to clear the air on what is Next.js made of. Okay, previous Next.js data fetching methods such as get server-side props are not supported in the new app router. However, you can still use them in Pages router. So, I mean, Next.js eliminated a lot of things. Fetching data is much easier than you think, okay? So, meaning, okay, so CSS modules, and also this is another very perfect thing I love about Next.js. Despite that, if I'm installing Next.js, I'm installing Tailwind automatically. That makes it very, very good. Okay. A utility first class CSS framework that allows you to rapidly customize designs by. So if you have done vanilla HTML, you know the stress involved in installing Tailwind CSS, okay? But here, Next.js makes it easy for you that you can install, whenever you're installing your application, you are installing Next.js, okay? So global CSS, anything you write here can also apply to everywhere. And then it has what we call CSS module, where I can use classes, okay, to write my CSS and then import the classes, and I'll be able to use it. So it makes it very, very easy. So these are the three most common ones I do. I don't necessarily go into some of all those complexities. So why I start to explain it, you know, is that we start installing. So what do I need to? This is just all that I need in order for me to get started with Next. Okay, so I can simply go to my CMD, navigate to my CMD. All right, so from my CMD, I can move to my documents. I have to move to documents, and I move to Next. Okay, let me just start. Let me just do it here. So I can simply create a directory called June. This is June. Let me just say make directory called June. Okay, there June. Okay, so I create a directory called June. I can move into June by saying cd June. So to install Next, I can say npx create Next app. I can simply do this. I don't necessarily need to put in at latest. But let me just put it. Okay, so what I'm putting at latest or not, it's still fine. So this will actually create a Next application here. So do I want to proceed? I can simply say yes, I want to proceed. And it's going to pop out some other question for me, like what is your project's name? Okay, what is your project name? That latest I put in create Next app at latest, you can actually tell not to, you can ignore it, it's still okay. All right, so I can call it intro. Intro. I can just call it intro next. Intro next. So that is the name of my application. And it's asking me whether I would like to use TypeScript with this project. For the sake of this project, I don't want to use TypeScript, so I leave it no. Do I want S-links? I can simply just yes, no problem. Tailwind CSS. Do I want Tailwind CSS? I want Tailwind. I need Tailwind. Do I want source directory? Yes. Recommended app router, which is very nice, where I can write my application list. Would you like to customize any alias? I don't really want anything. No. So this will just take a few moments, so that app will be up and running. While we are waiting for that to run, you can see the dependencies installed for me. Tailwind CSS goes in here. This is quite awesome. This is one of the reasons I love Next.js. Okay, the fact that it can eliminate for me the stress of installing Tailwind. Okay, it installs it while I'm working on it. Okay, server and client side rendering. This is also very awesome. Rendering, converting the code you write into user interface. Okay, so so the client refers to the browser on your user device that sends requests to the server for your application code. So this is actually very, very important. The server refers to the computer in a data center that stores the application code, receives requests from the client, does some computations, and send back an appropriate responses. This is actually quite informative. Okay, so Next.js has these two rendering, the client rendering and the server rendering. So anytime by default, I'm working on the server. Okay, but if I need to use anything client, I just simply say use client and I switch to it. Okay, I can be able to use anything client and I can be on the client and be on the server rendering at the same time. And static and dynamic rendering is also very, very easy. I don't need to be installing React Router DOM. I don't need to be importing browser router from here. I'm not even importing anything. So my rendering, I use the folders to do my rendering. Okay, so my components. So that is what you use to do your rendering. And that makes it quite awesome for you to render your data. So you can see how easy it is working with Next.js. Okay. So Next.js, so a lot of all these things are things that makes Next to be an awesome application for us. So let's go back and see if our app has finished installing. Well, our app is still installing. It shouldn't take much time, but I'm going to pause the video and get back when the app has finished installing. Okay, so we can see that our app has been created successfully. So if I look at dir, I will see that there is a repository there called intro. So I move into it, see the intro, and I will open it with Visual Studio Code by hitting code space dot. So that will trigger Visual Studio Code to open the application for me. All right, so working with Next makes it much easier than ever. So yeah, application has opened. Now we can see the different parts in this application. So to run our application in the browser, I will need to open the code editor or the terminal, or I can go to this my terminal that I already have here and simply say npm run dev. Okay, that will run the development. It will create a local host for me where I'll be able to see how the application looks like on my browser. Okay, so you can see this is the dev that is running, which will actually build the next dev for me. Okay, so what exactly is here? First of all, we see the next.next. This came up immediately. I hit npm run dev, so we start building it. Yeah, so I can actually see it has a local host of port 3000. So I can just copy this code, go straight to my browser and paste it there. So I will see the application that has been built for me. So I could have run this here, or I could have used Control Shift Backtick. I could have used the terminal on Visual Studio Code. Okay, so it has what and what do I have here? I have node package models. Okay, so this is where everything, the Babel is there. You know that Babel is what React uses to transcribe HTML to JSX. And I have the public folder. So public folder has next SVG. I will show us where this next SVG is when the app opens. You'll be able to see it, next SVG and Vercel SVG. Okay, so anything that I want to use for my public directory, I have to put in next. For example, where is that next SVG being used? Okay, so if I go to my page.jss, I'm just coming there. I will actually see where that sky has been used. You can see /Vercel SVG. Okay, that is where the image is being used, and I can see /next SVG. That is where the image is. So if I have something like images, I can do well to put my images in public, inside the public. Okay, so once I put it inside the public, I can easily trace it that way. All right, so inside the public, I can use it any other place that I want to use it. All right, so let's look at how the page is. So this is the next page that has been opened for us. You can see the Vercel image being here, and the next image is also there. Okay, so going back at our app, you can see my Vercel image. If I click on it, I'll actually have it opened. It's an SVG file. You can see it's Vercel image. And then I have Next.js image. So this is what I have showing here. This Next.js, okay, and then this Vercel. So they're actually the images we are using in our app directory. All right, so that is basically what we have in our public. If we have video, we can also put videos there. That is fine. And then our favicon, okay, our favicon is also here, favicon.ico. So I can create my own favicon and drag and drop it here. It can replace it, okay. So let me quickly talk about how to create favicon. Okay, so an easier way to create a favicon is for me to use favicon.ico. I can use favicon.ico. I can go to favicon.io to generate a favicon for myself and something like that. So I want to generate a favicon. I can say I can convert. If I have an image I want to use as a favicon, I can also convert the image. Okay, or I can generate an image that I want to use as a favicon. So I can show us both ways how that can be done. So if I go to convert, I can drag and drop a file here. Let me just go and pick an image from my system. So I want to use this photo here as my favicon. So I can simply drag and drop the image and I'll be able to use it. So I come in here and drop it. So you see, I have gotten a favicon of it. I will download it straight away. So it will ask me where do I want it to download it. So I can just come here and drop it inside. Let me just open this place and drop it here. Okay, so I can simply go in there, come here, and it's already a zip file. So I can right click to unzip the file here. I can say extract here. So the file has been extracted and this is my favicon. So I can minimize this and drag and drop this favicon here. Just come here and drop it. So it will ask me whether I want it to replace this. So yes, replace this file. So it has replaced it and this is my favicon now. Okay, so if I go back to my browser and I try to refresh this page, I should see that the favicon has been changed. You can see that the favicon has also been changing. Okay, so that makes it quite very easy for you to work with favicon. If you also want to use favicon as to generate favicon, you can equally come to generate and you can use a text. Maybe I want my favicon to be you and you. I want it, and I want a favicon that is circle, and I want the color to be this. I want this for it. So I can actually see how this favicon is going to see. All right, so I'm seeing it, how it is. So I can now download it. So I can say download. All right. So all right, so I can download what I have. Okay, sometimes network can just be a bit poor. Okay, maybe because I have downloaded this file before. I don't really know why. It shows not to. Let me just refresh and go again. Go and you. And I want it rounded. I want this color. I want this background. So let me just choose a background that's fine. I can choose a font. If I choose a better font and I hit download button. Okay, fine. And it's taking me here. So maybe I want it to replace the one that is here. I say replace it. So it has downloaded and replaced it. So refresh. I can delete the ones that I have here now, so I don't have glitches of files trying to mess me. Okay, let me just delete what I have here. Shift delete. Yeah, so I have only this, I can say extract files here. Extract here. So I can see that the files has been extracted here. Okay, I need to re-download this file again. I'm not sure I did what I wanted to do. So I'll navigate back to the website, downloads. So that is fine. Instead of me allowing that to waste my time. And then I have this root directory here, which is coming up with my Tailwind utilities actually here. So I have my Tailwind base, my Tailwind components, and my Tailwind utilities. So these are the predefined styles that it have. If I don't need them, I can delete them and save. So when I go back to my page, let me just close this, trying to mess my work up. So I can refresh and I will have my styles like this. So this page is coming from page.js. So I can actually open my page.js, select everything, backspace it, and I hit S. So it will actually trigger an error for me because there is no component there. So let me just give it a component, RFC. So that should be able to correct it to page. So page is what is loading, what is showing me there. So there are two most important files we have here, layout and page. Okay, so what is actually layout? So layout is very awesome file that was for us. So and all the pages that I have rendering on my page is the layout. And in this layout.js, okay, I can name this to JSS. So that is, I can rename it to layout.jsx. So I'll be writing JSX. It doesn't change much. Okay, so it's still a component JSS. So uh, So layout.jss. So that makes it possible for me to be able to write HTML within my React application or within my React components the way I write my HTML. So layout has children here, and because of the children, which is logging out here, it makes it possible for me to see that page.js or other children. So if these children is not being returned or rendered in this page, I won't be able to see that in my page.js. So if I go to my browser, I'm not seeing anything there because it's not accepting children. Okay, so if I have something else like H1 and I say this is a layout, this is a layout component. Okay, so that is what my browser is going to display. This is a layout component. All right, so because I'm not seeing that within my React application. So if I had it in my, so anything I'm doing here, as far as these children is not being seen, okay, I cannot see that. So if I allow it to take children, that page that is written inside page.js that is being returned here, I'll be able to see it. So I can actually delete this thing now and I write h2. This is a page component. This is a page component. And I should be able to have, this is a page component being seen on my layout. This is a layout component. Okay, so that is very awesome to see that I have children showing, and then after the children is being seen, I can have H1 showing. So if I want this to be the first, I'll simply put it in front. So I can see that this is a layout component is now the first thing there. Okay, now my page is not being rendered as fast. Maybe I do not save. So try to save, hit Ctrl S to save, and let me try to refresh. Okay, this is a layout component and this is a page component. Okay, that is because this is a layout component comes first before the children. So the children is every other page that is every other page outside the layout now with the children. So what is the importance of the layout? Anything that I put in the layout, I'll be able to see it in every other route. Anything I put. So this layout is referred to as the root layout. Okay, you can see there's no other layout that is called the root layout except this. So that is the layout that has our HTML element. So I cannot have any other layout or any other components having my HTML element or having the body element, because you know already that with the knowledge of HTML and CSS, okay, with your core knowledge of HTML, you only have one body element and one HTML element. So I shouldn't be having this except in my root layout. I can create any other layout. When we get to routing, we'll talk about that. But any other component that I'm creating should not have HTML and body. It's not bright. Okay, you can see that it is also there that I have my font showing. All right, so you can see the fonts that have been imported here, and if I don't want this font, I can delete it. And if there is any other font that I want, let's say I want this font, Berkshire font, can simply do that, import it, and I can remove it just with Control key and space, and I can do it like that. So I will talk about fonts later. So you can actually see I've imported Berkshire fonts and I called it int. I can actually call it Beck now. I can just call it Beck, and here I'm logging out Beck. So okay, so I'm logging out Beck. So I'm expecting my font to change directly to Beck. Okay, so that is the font that I'm basically using now. Okay, Berkshire underscore squash. So okay, missing weight of font for Berkshire, available weight is 400. So it expects me for this very font that I should provide a weight for it. So how do I provide weight for fonts? I can come inside here And Next.js is pretty much awesome. It will tell me what I'm doing wrong, what I need to do, and what it expects me to do. So I can just simply give it weight, and the available weight is 400. So I have to write 400 like this. So that should be able to make it. So it's an object, okay? So that is the available weight that it has, and that should be able to clear that error. I can see the Berkshire font is showing me on this page. So that is pretty much awesome. Very easy. I don't need to import or install Google Fonts or anything. Your Next.js comes with Google Fonts automatically. Any font that I thought I want to use, what I simply need to do is just hold down the control key here, press space. I'll be able to see all Google Fonts, import them, and use them within my documents. All Google Fonts at all. So I should be able to use any one. If I just want this Carol Play, I should be able to use it. But if I change it, I still need to come here, hold the control key and press space. I'll be able to change it. And once I do that, it will automatically update that font. So that is the font that is the font. It makes it quite easy for you to work with font. Very awesome of Next.js, okay? So global CSS, anything that I also write here is going to affect every style that I'm putting up. So if I say for every H1, H2, and I want it to be text transform to be capital letter, okay? So that will automatically affect every file at all that I've changed. Everything changes it to capital letter. That is fine. So, and it can even make me to write my Tailwind CSS. I can actually say apply what? Maybe I want it to be text center. I want it to be on the center of the text. I want it to probably padding. I can say PY3, padding top and bottom, and PX padding left and right to be like 4, that kind of thing. And maybe I want auto. I want it to be margin auto. Okay, I want the margin to be auto. I want the weight to be 60%, which is 3/5. I want it to be 3/5 the width, and I want the background color to be gold. So I can just choose well, I don't have gold, but I have something like orange. I can say orange this, okay? And I want it to be image rounded. I can say rounded XL, rounded XL. So this will automatically apply to that, and I want it to be margin top and bottom to be like 2. So I should be able to have those text applying like that. So you can actually see how the text apply. Okay. So that is pretty much awesome. Very, very easy to write your Tailwind CSS within your Next application. It makes it very easy for you to do that. Okay, so our git ignore, of course, is ignoring our node package model, which is the largest file that we have here, is ignoring it. So that's why I can see that it's grayed out. So with this thing being ignored, it means that I cannot upload it to GitHub, okay? I cannot push it to GitHub, okay? Because anytime someone gets something from GitHub, you need to do npm install to install all the packages that thing comes with. So there's no need for me to put my git ignore in my GitHub, okay? Next, the config.js, of course, there is the configuration file for the JS, and then we have the configuration file for Next. And we'll be using this configuration file when we want to, for this next.config.js, when we want to import an image from, want to use remote images, maybe image from Unsplash or Google Images, stuff like that. I can use that, okay? Then my package.json contains my dependencies, sub-package lock, my dependencies, and then my tailwind.config.js. This is where my tailwind can be configured. If you want to configure your tailwind, okay, so you can see that my tailwind is listening to a JS file, a JSX file. If I don't have the JSX here, I won't be able to write this tailwind. I won't be able to affect this file here, okay? pages of any component, source/components, source/app. So it is listening to any file within source pages, any file within source components, and any file within source app. So the hard JSX file, TSX for if you are writing TypeScript, okay. So it is listening to TypeScript file, it is listening to JSX file for JavaScript file and MDX files. Okay, so any file within that is being listened to. So this is a basic introduction to your next application. And in the next class, we'll be looking at componentizing our next app. Okay, so I hope this course this video meets your needs on introduction to Next.js. So when we look at componentization, how do we create an app component? The component folder, how do we route, how do we create routing, how do you make things to click and all that. Okay, we also look at images and if possible delve more on fonts, talk more about how you can use icons, which is very awesome to do using Next.js. Okay, so thank you, I'll meet you in the next class.